Hey, Dr. Milton. This is Phil from West Palm Beach. Great to be with you. So my question is about Christianity, and as a vegan advocate, people have told me, well, Jesus, what about the miracle and I think it was 5 loaves?
When he fed the 5,000 and 3,000.
Yeah. So as a Greek Orthodox person, in Sunday school we learn about the Church of the Seven Councils and the books of the Bible that make it, and then I come to learn there's books that maybe don't make it. Then I find out about the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Essenes and Mary and Joseph, as I understand it historically, were part of the tribe of the Essenes. So is it possible that the Bible maybe isn't really, there's certain errors? And so in the Dead Sea Scrolls, I understand that it was actually grapes that Jesus turned. It's been implied. So as a Greek Orthodox Christian, I've actually been able to accept things a lot more, that the Bible maybe in those cases reflects the biases of the meat-eating culture of the Byzantine world at the time. And I know I gathered from your lecture that you really take things really quite literally, which I respect. And as a matter of faith, I actually wish that I had that kind of faith. But I don't. I'm more, looking at the historical thing. So I wanted to know what you thought about maybe possible errors that Jesus really was a vegan. Mary and Joseph, tribe of the Essenes, and they found sprouting equipment in the archaeological digs of the Essenes. Mm-hmm. And factually, I believe Jesus was an Essene, or was he not? What do you think about all that?
Sure. So first, I want to say that there's Michael Butke, who's a minister, teaches that the word that was translated fish actually, in other translations, means hummus. Okay? Hummus. Yes. Or, I can't do the hummus. Yes. And so there is some debate about those things. But for me, and let me say, yes, I do take the Bible literally with the understanding that it's good to read from several different sources because, again, like the King James Version, our understanding of Aramaic and Greek has improved a lot since then. And so things that may have been written one way could certainly mean other things. But that being said, two things. I think what the miracle of the loaves and fishes, whatever those fishes were, is meant to teach us. Again, not that this is all humans should eat. It was meant to teach us. Remember, the disciples came to him and said, man, there are all these people out here and they are hungry and we don't even have enough money to go buy them food. And Jesus said, you give them, you feed them. And they said, how? Well, all we've got is these, couple of loaves and whatever else they had. The message was for us to learn that we use the bounty we have to share with other people, whatever that bounty may be. Okay? So whether it was hummus and bread or fish and bread, that's not important. The important point of that lesson, the important point of that lesson is that we share what we have. We use what we have at our disposal to bless others. And that God will increase whatever it is that we have so that we don't run out. Just like with Elijah and the widow. When he came to her house and he said, can you fix me something to eat? She said, look, all I got is a little bit of oil and some cornmeal. And I was going to make a last, piece of cornbread for me and my son. And we were going to eat and then we were going to die, starve to death. Elijah said, look, you prepare me a meal, I promise you. That will never run out as long as I'm here. And again, the goal of that story is not to teach us to make bread with oil and cornmeal. It was to tell us to rely on God to extend our blessings when we use our blessings to bless others. So that is, for me, the focus of the story of the loaves and fishes. The Bible is so clear, as I tried to show you guys, about what God wants us to eat and what our best diet is, that I don't spend time worrying about what Jesus did or didn't eat, because I know what he wants me to eat. And I know what he has been very clear about in his word is the best way for us to live, eat, and treat the animals with whom we share this world. So I'm not distracted by what he may or may not have eaten. And as I said, there's really only two instances where we're told he ate something. He actually physically ate something. One was when he had the Lord's Supper, which was bread and grape juice. And by the way, our church also teaches that when it says he turned it into wine, it was actually grape juice, not actual wine. So people weren't out partying.
You say Jesus drank wine, so let's drink wine.
No, right. Yeah. But the Bible also says wine is a mocker and strong drinker is raging. So even if people believe that you can drink a little wine, it's not to the point where you're out there dancing with a lampshade on your head. So I hope that makes it clear that I focus on what did God tell us about what we should eat and what is best for us to eat. There aren't any stories that we're told about where he says, look, this is your nutrition lesson for today. That wasn't what he was doing. That's not what the Gospels are about. And so for people who try to use that as an excuse to, eat fish or whatever, I'm like, first of all, the fish you get today ain't the fish Jesus allegedly ate, okay? The stuff you get today is the most toxin-laden material that is out there. Because as I explain to people, if you ate meat and I brought you an animal that had been raised in the coal mine and said, okay, I'm going to fry up some of its lungs, nobody would want to touch it because you'd all understand that an animal raised in a coal mine would have the filthiest lungs imaginable. Well, fish breathe by filtering water, and the oceans are so polluted, their tissues are overrun with toxins. So I'm saying even if you thought that it was appropriate, it's not appropriate to eat the fish that's out there today because it's going to poison your body. And as had been previously mentioned, even for someone who thinks that they still have permission to eat animals, the fact of the matter is that the way animals are raised today, the cruelty, the abuse, the suffering, no true Christian could justify purchasing animals who've been mistreated and abused and who have lived a life of suffering that these animals do. That is absolutely antithetical to the principles laid out in God's Word. Okay. There's a...
I have some vegan treats for pass them around.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Robbie brought some vegan treats. This is one of the main reasons I love doing things with her, and she's gonna pass them around for you guys.
How do you go from presenting this biblical premise to, the church, and then inspiring the church to go from hearing some stuff, he has really good points, to actually moving forward and starting to make this topic a regular discussion going forward?
There's this Chinese proverb we probably have learned, but I don't know if we've really thought about it. It says even the journey of 10,000 miles has to begin with one footstep. And that is profoundly true. Even if I am going to go to Antarctica tomorrow, I can't get there unless I start walking. And I say that to say that we have to start by starting the conversation, by talking, by sharing with each other. I'll give you guys another anecdote from my life. I was very frustrated with some things that were going on at the hospital where I was working. And again, I'm complaining to God about these messed up people he has me working with. And just how frustrated I was at not being able to do what I felt was the right thing to do. And God said to me, if I'm willing to struggle with a sin-sick world for thousands of years, who are you to want to see change overnight? And I'm telling you, I was humbled by that. Because one of the reasons we start the Lord's Prayer off with Our Father which art in heaven is an acknowledgement that God knows what we don't know. He sees the end from the beginning, and that whatever way he chooses to do things is the right way. And if he is patient, if he is long-suffering, I have no right to demand change instantaneously. So we got to learn to be patient with each other. We've got to learn to be what I call quietly persistent. that to realize that, as I think Reverend Saunders said earlier, we are here to represent truth and represent and speak for those who can't speak for themselves. And to understand that, again, people are on a journey. But I'm here to present to you truth as I know it, to lay it out, and then to allow God time to work on changing your minds. I can't speak for everyone here, but I know the first time somebody talked to me about not eating meat, I didn't want to hear it. I'm like, yeah, right. And here I am. You know, and that person probably thought, this blockhead man is never going to change. But God knew better. So we got to rely on God to do the work. Our job is to present the truth and let God actually change hearts. But to not give up, to not walk away. There's a statement by a woman by the name of Clarissa Parker Estes that I love. She says, wherever you don't fit in, that is where you belong. Well, listen, why don't we get ready to go and do our labyrinth tour?